Bank is finalizing accreditation with the Climate Change Adaptation Fund. We're also hearing pronouncements that government is actively exploring opportunities in the Green Climate Fund. These are expected to unlock new avenues of financing climate resilient infrastructure. We're also looking at green innovation and sustainable livelihoods. So to unpack all this, joining us this morning to discuss these developments and explore their potential impact, we are having a chat with David Lesolle, who's a climatologist at the University of Botswana. So let me take this time and welcome you on this very rainy weather today.
First, let me correct you. I'm no longer with the University of Botswana.
Oh.
I'm on my own now.
You're on your own.
Right.
Thank you very much for that correction. So we catch up with you.
Okay,
I think the last time you were here, you were still with the University of Botswana.
Yes.
Very well. So today, actually, let me first note, we are seeing, well, it's rainy season. We're seeing rather heavy rain here in the nation's capital, Gaborone. We're also already hearing of heavy flow of water, which could be termed flooding. We heard some Kakobo Broadhurst, and I think one of the malls in the city center. So here we go again. This rainy season resulting in flooding situations already upon us. So
your observation is correct.
Right. But in terms of, I say here we go again, as if this we experience periodically. Would this be your observation as climatologists? And perhaps where are you seeing the gaps in our management of these climate phenomena or weather phenomena that we live with?
It's interesting that you're saying that, because it is true, what we used to term extreme, it's now almost the normal.
Yeah.
And climate science tells us that indeed the number of extreme events is going to increase. Mm-hmm. And therefore it is not surprising. Right. What is important for us is to try and make sure that we can cope with these. Yeah. Taking a cue on the sauna. Right. Unfortunately, that aspect was a bit lacking. Mm-hmm. Adaptation. Okay. Yes, you did reference the Adaptation Fund with the NDB, but I think there is the need to strengthen our early warning system. Aha. Not to adapt to disasters, but to prepare and get as much information, advance notice about early warning. Now, there are two main institutions that can help us with climate early warning systems. Mm-hmm. One is the Department of Meteorological Services, and the other one is the Department of Water and Sanitation. Right. Of course, the weather with Biru, it's very easy to appreciate why the forecast they're giving so far. The forecast, etc., the seasonal outlooks, etc., etc. But recently, the Department of Water and Sanitation has established what they call a Water Resources Drought Monitoring Center. Okay. Now, the aim is to predict the water drought. Mm. That is the dry spells, the lack or the too much of water in the water reservoirs, etc., so that they can tell you in advance, or you're not going to have water this year or this season or this month. And therefore, you can start banning your hoses, you can start not watering your lawns, just like we had about 2 to 3 years ago, before Dineo came in, when we had the total ban on and water rationing, etc., etc. So we need to strengthen these institutions, these two institutions, to help us with the early warning, so that at least they can tell us like 2 to 3 months, 3 weeks in advance, but hey, watch out.
Okay.
The heavy rain is coming or whatever.
So on the aspect there, because in management we'll go the full spectrum from that early warning right down to adaptation and how we survive it. So on the angle of early warning, the two institutions that you're of the opinion that would be instrumental there, are they well resourced? And perhaps if not well resourced, where could be the gaps? Because one part of what the President went into is climate financing. So one would wonder then, in terms of early warning or early warning of a climate phenomena, are we well resourced, and where are the gaps? And the positions of climate financing that the President mentioned, would they respond to that perhaps?
We should do better.
Yeah.
The institutions, the capacities are there, and I think the officers are there, but we need to let them fly.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy for us to have access to satellite information, the latest. Everybody is watching out for extreme events, or globally. Yeah. And therefore, we need to come to that game, especially that these disasters are costing us an arm and a leg in terms of infrastructure damage, in terms of no production. But yes, the institutions are there. We need to build their capacity, strengthen their people in there. Botswana we're ready and willing. Let's open up. Let them take part in.
Let them go. Let them fly. So then, well, the pronouncements of His Excellency President Boko is that yes. Botswana is ready, is poised at least to take on the global fight against climate change. So I want to start off with the ECG strategy. Let's talk just how much. Sorry, ESG strategy, how the environment, social and governance, right? The ESG strategy, how much of a response or a mitigating response that can do, and perhaps if you have any, if you're privy to the strategy, what it is speaking to or what it is answering to.
I haven't seen the strategy yet, but it will be interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But my thought would be, number one, it's a good way to go. Because everybody is, we are aware that 10 years ago we signed the Paris Agreement.
Yes.
So in effect, therefore, we agreed to reduce our emissions. But not everybody is doing their part.
Yeah.
We know that number of major guys have gone up of the Paris Agreement. And therefore, it poses a lot of strain and problems for us as developing countries, including Botswana. But at the same time, we've got coal. And therefore, I always say to people, you don't wash your hands unless they're dirty. Okay. So go on. Let's use the coal. No. Because you are not going to innovate in darkness. Let's use the coal to generate electricity, but at the same time, let us be very careful of the ESG component. That is, number one, let us make sure that as we burn coal, we're going to make sure that we try and clean it up. Okay. Number two, as we burn coal, that is all the social justice issues around human justice, issues around environmental justice, climate justice, etc., are protected and taken care of. And then finally, the issues around governance. Remember, in the world where everybody is fighting for a little bit of a piece of a cake, everybody is going to be finger pointing. So it is important that Botswana prepares itself for all the negative arguments that will come about as a result of us being endowed with coal as an economy.
So then the national framework and the action plan, well, in your view, what direction would that take?
Number one, I think it's a good thing that at least we have that consortium that is going to help us look at the whole gamut of things about energy and greening the energy and the energy transition. That's beautiful. But at the same time, I'm worried as a climatologist that we're opting to choose to implement the CTL technology, coal to liquid. That is getting coal, a solid, and turning it into a liquid or gas to produce petroleum. That thing has been done in South Africa, and it is a very let me say, it's a very heavily chemical process, and very chemical intensive process. And that is the reason why South Africa is responsible for 75% of Africa's emissions, just through that one little process. So as we go for this CTL, let us make sure that we're not going to become the next South Africa where we become responsible for 50% or 40% of Africa's emissions.
I see.
From one source in South Africa, that is about 80% of Africa's emissions, total Africa's emissions.
I want to come back to what pronouncements came out of the State of the Nation address, so that at least we can put this in context for us here in Botswana, because the President did mention different avenues of strengthening climate finance. I did mention when we started about the NDB, National Development Bank, being accredited to the Adaptation Fund, where financing strengthening climate financing would come in. You did mention, yes, we do have these responsibilities, and according to the international or global agreements that we are party to, and the emphasis on the State of the Nation address going towards pronouncement of strengthening climate finance. What does that mean for us? Do you know where are the areas where this is necessary, is needed as our response, Botswana?
It's a good thing the NDB is going to become one of the climate finance institutions in the world. The University of Botswana, or BUST, should also become accredited to the Green Climate Fund. I think it's about time they did that. Stop the meckering and the bickering about. Let's go for it. The next important thing is, let us prepare the ground for the implementation and adoption of the climate resources. So, for example... Prepare
the ground, meaning what, us or government?
Get the NGOs, get the people, get the society, the people who are vulnerable. Let's prepare them to benefit from the climate finance. Otherwise, it's going to remain inside the drawers of the NDBs and the other guys.
The President did mention capacity building as a
implementations as priority.
How does that happen? What would that entail?
My dream expressed before, and I'll express it again, is let institutions, academia like University of Botswana, BUST, take lead in running courses how to develop fundable climate change projects.
Okay.
Let us go and teach the women in Shakawe who are weaving the baskets that, number one, their baskets are vulnerable to climate change because the resources, the grasses that they're using them...
biodiversity.
All of those resources are vulnerable to climate change.
Right.
And climate variability. If there's a drought, then the grasses are depleted, etc., etc., etc. So let us resource them so that they can benefit from climate change adaptation through the NDB.
So from our academia taking a deliberate intentional role and cascading down to our communities,
developing the courses, how to do it, how to manage those projects, And there's lots and lots of examples on the web. Everybody else is doing it except us. Okay. Even Namibia is doing it. So I shouldn't use the word even. Namibia is doing it.
Well, close. Close enough.
Very close reference.
In your defense there. So now, but Lesolle, where I got curious also was the mention of the national carbon market framework that is being finalized or almost there. We're talking about carbon markets and from an ordinary citizen's perspective, one is wondering if there is also beyond safeguarding our climate and our environment and sustainable livelihoods, would this also be saying or implying that there's also opportunity for personal income generation or for communities to generate income? What are carbon markets and what is this national carbon market framework going to be doing for us?
Well, there's several levels of points where an ordinary Botswana can partake in the carbon market.
Right.
There's the voluntary and the regulated carbon market. Okay. Now, let me try and simplify it this way: that you, assuming that you have a solar panel on your roof,
okay,
or a solar water heater on your roof, you should be able, using the appropriate technology of balancing of how much energy you have saved, the BPC, to be able to request a reimbursement for the carbon you have offset.
Yeah, as banks would have a cashback system.
That's right.
Right.
That's what the Scandinavian and other countries are doing. They have what are called hybrid systems, metering system, so that your consumption is recorded, but also how much you put back into the grid is recorded. And therefore, if you have a negative balance or a positive balance, you get the rewards as appropriate. Therefore, that would be one way of getting Botswana interested into the carbon market. And then we can start negotiating for what is the feed-in tariff. How much do I get for saving BPC 1 kilowatt hour of electricity? Because remember, for every kilowatt hour, BPC in the current scenario is burning a lot of coal. Right. And therefore, the coal is emitting CO2 into the atmosphere. So you would be offsetting that CO2 by pushing into the grid solar energy.
Can we interest ourselves, perhaps, or excite ourselves in this, in looking at this as potentially another driver for, let's say, for job creation and stuff like that?
For innovation. Remember, I'm happy with the green strategy, like I said, advanced by His Excellency yesterday in the strategy. But I still wonder, where are Botswana in this? I don't see, for example, and I dreamt of a situation where we could have very many young people taught through brigades, through technical colleges, whatever curriculum setting agenda, to repair and manage renewable energy systems. We are already doing that. If you go to my little village where I come from, Kokudumats, you'll find a little boy who failed Form 3 repairing solar panels.
Let me ask you this, Lesolle. You know, the Green Climate Fund, we have heard about it. It's always been there. And mention of it yesterday got us thinking, perhaps, are we as a society, and I'm talking from community levels to individual levels to civil society, exploring the optimal benefit from these green climate funds?
We're a latecomer.
Right.
We're a latecomer, certainly we are. But our neighbors are far advanced in taking advantage of these resources. But sometimes it's nice at being latecomer because you can learn from the mistakes of the others.
Well, NDB has previously invited proposals for smart agriculture.
Well, yeah, you know, smart agriculture is a whole
Other thing.
everything together. And I think if we went around the country, remember the problem about climate and climate action is that if you don't practice climate smart agriculture and climate adaptation concept, you're going to die. So you must cope with climate change. We are forced to do that.
Right.
So what's climate smart agriculture? If you go to the villages, we've kind of gone 2 steps forwards and then three backwards, and then we're trying to catch up with the
rest of the world.
No, not only that, but what our culture used to do.
Yes.
We used to be very adaptive to climate shocks and climate. We used to be resilient.
Yeah.
That's why hunger has never been a very major issue for Botswana historically.
So indigenous knowledge we could leverage a lot out of that.
Let's go back and find out what is it that we can learn from.
Let me thank you so much. Unfortunately, this is all the time that we have. But as Parliament continues to debate the State of the Nation address, we'll also perhaps have more conversations there.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
That's why we're here for.
All right. Well, the 2025 State of the Nation address yesterday, we saw the President reaffirm government's commitment to strengthening its climate finance frameworks, and that's what we were having a discussion here about with David Lesolle. Part of what was mentioned was having our National Development Bank finalizing its accreditation to the Climate Change Adaptation Fund, and what that whole green financing or climate financing green climate fund, what all that means to us as citizens and communities. And perhaps it is time we start engaging and exploring and taking full advantage of these climate financing opportunities.
Pollution as well as unsustainable exploitation. The urgency to act has never been greater. The technical